Welcome to the Purpose and Prosperity Podcast, the greatest self-mastery podcast ever. And this is another exciting one on so many different levels. I don't know where to start. It's like dipping inside of a treat box and looking at all of the treasure from deep within, thinking, ooh, which one should I pick first? So many places. I mean, from music, we're speaking about somebody that graces the airwaves with her vocals, famously known on so many different levels in so many different genres. She's based in the UK, London to be precise. She has been known to be on platforms and stages, television programs like The Voice, as an example, from different arenas, places around the world. She moves around, extremely humble in her movements, must I add. I first heard about this lady and didn't know about this lady through some music, which carried me on my life's journey. At times when I'd be in some bleak places, I would draw to her music. And then, as time went on, it so happens that we came together and connected. And ever since then, it's been extremely awesome, to the point where I've always said to myself, I would love to meet this person in person. And it just so happens that you are about to meet her in person. Just thinking about her right now just brings me so much excitement. She is a transformational coach, a leader. She's doing dynamic things in many people's lives. She's the founder of ISI Coaching, where tons of people come together on one accord. And lives are transformed through her work. Much value has been added to me through this dynamic coach, speaker, songwriter. Her story is extremely deep. If we speak about the phoenix rising, perfect example. If we speak from ashes to beauty, again, that's another way of explaining this diamond from the rough. She goes by the name of Dr Aundrea Nyle. And I'm going to leave it at that. Dr Aundrea Nyle, it's truly a privilege and an honor. I am grateful to be basking in your presence at such a time as this.
Kevin, the pleasure is all mine. It's an honor. I was like, I want to meet her. I was like, she sounds awesome. Thank you for that. Really.
There's so many levels to her. So amazing. I understand where you're coming from.
I'm a little overwhelmed with my own self. Oh dear. I was like, wow, she sounds awesome. I was like, wait, he's talking about me.
Am I okay to address you as Aundrea?
Absolutely.
Thank you kindly.
Absolutely.
Aundrea. So here we are at such a time as this, in the here and the now.
Yes, here we are.
And I mean, where would you like to start in terms of your journey? I think plenty of people would love to hear about your humble beginnings and the things that you went through earlier on, you know, as you started to find your way into this space that you occupy in the here and the now.
Oh gosh, well, I won't go back to childhood.
Okay.
We'll fast forward 40 years or so.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always been in the music industry. I've, sang on The Voice and done all of that kind of stuff, and always knew that I had a calling to be in front of people and share my light. I always found joy in making people smile and making people feel joyful and all of that kind of stuff. And I pursued a music career and wrote songs, have an EP on Spotify and all that kind of stuff. And if you Google me, you will find lots of interesting stuff to look at and see and listen to. And yeah, it's just almost like a taste, touch, feel type of vibe. But I went through a real huge trauma in my life, losing my dad. And that really took me on a path of, depression, anxiety, PTSD. I was in a really, really low space, and I knew that I needed to heal. And growing up in church and knowing and having a relationship with God to this very day, I talk to God like he's my guy, in it. Like, I'm like, yo, God, what one for you? Like, I talk like that. Like, when it gets there, I'm like, God, what one for you? Yeah, like, you're out here with all your cherubims and your cherubims and all of this, and I'm down here suffering. I'm like, yeah, you need to fix up. And then I said to God, what do I need to do? And he said, well, Aundrea, you need to heal. I said, yeah, we know that, but how? And his direct words to my spirit was, help others to heal. Because as iron sharpens iron, I'll sharpen you, you'll sharpen me. And as you help them to heal, you're going to heal.
Yes.
I got on this journey of healing. And I did a Zoom with just my family. And I was like, guys, I'm going to start doing a Zoom every week just with my family. And I was like, I just want to share with you guys because I'm on this healing journey. So my first Zoom was a Zoom with using the scripture, iron sharpens iron. And then after the Zoom was how I got the name and realized that God was saying to me, I need to start moving back into this space of coaching and being a guide and a teacher and using my gifts. And I told God, well, all right, fine. But if you want me to coach, you're going to have to tell them yourself, because we are like that. And literally, I think it was maybe a day later, I got a phone call from an old school friend who had heard one of my songs, and she was like, Aundrea, I've been playing this song, I've been, worshiping to it and dancing around. And she was like, we started talking, and then literally a few days later, she was like, oh, God spoke to me last night. And she was like, I was arguing with God, but God was telling me that I need to come to you and ask you if you'll coach me.
Okay. Wow. And that's pretty much how that went.
I was like, okay. I said, yeah.
You walked into it.
And I walked into it, and I remember at the beginning of what I did, God said to me, everything that you do with her, write it down.
Yes.
Wrote down all the questions and all the processes that we went through in that 7 weeks that we worked together. And I wrote down everything, and that became the foundation of the love journey, the foundational love journey. So, and I've used that love journey on numerous people, and they've all received the same, in their own way, magnificent results of learning how to identify trauma. And I coined this phrase, find the treasure in the trauma. Find the treasure in the trauma. And this is what we worked on. And, on being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that was all helping me my mind, helping me to see things from a different perspective through their stuff. It was bringing up stuff in me. So I was working on myself while they're bringing up stuff for them. I'm like, oh yeah, that's in me too. All right. And I would go away and do the work. And I was just growing and healing and growing and healing. And it hasn't stopped. It's been an ongoing journey to this point where I've literally just recently gone through a major metamorphosis where I'm feeling like it's going to have to be, allow me to introduce myself, because I'm not the Aundrea that everybody knew or knows. I'm not her. And it's like I've moved into another realm in my spirituality, in my divine feminine energy. You know, I sit very comfortably in being who I am, and I don't care what anybody thinks about it. It doesn't matter what people think. I'm unapologetically doing me, and I'm loving me, and you know, and right now at this point, that's where I'm at. I'm on a count up,
Yes.
or count down to a big birthday. And yeah, I'm really on a journey as we speak. I'm on day 7 of a journey of self love and self discovery and self, just, you know, spending time with myself. Yeah.
You know, with you saying that, the things which popped up from deep within myself was me starting out this podcast, the Purpose and Prosperity podcast. And I received messages from ascended masters, people doing things in some awesome spaces, saying, you know, Kevin, I sincerely believe that you're supposed to be doing a podcast, and as part of one of the things that you do. And on many occasions, I've been like, I really, as much as I would love to be doing that, to see myself doing that, from that to Kevin, I can see yourself on the radio. All of these kind of things. I'd like to call you Dr. Aundrea. But one of the things that would pop up is me speaking to high profile individuals like yourself, right? And I know you're really humble. However, for me to see myself speaking to high profile individuals, I thought, you know, can I be doing that kind of stuff? And interestingly enough, I was sabotaged in a situation where a high profile individual approached me and said, I would like you to interview me. Like, straight out of my comfort zone. And I realized at that moment in time, looking at the patterns in life, it was like, having no more excuses. You're either going to go through this shift, or you're going to be stuck inside of this place, going around and around in circles, you know, being inside of this situation again, where you're in the wilderness, and until, Kevin, you step out of that, you're always going to see the same things. So through going through that shift, breaking that hold, some awesome things have happened. If that didn't happen, I wouldn't have had the courage to be able to reach out to high profile individuals like yourself and make things happen like this. And what's happened is it's unlocked the doors for many people that need to hear about you, your story, as well as other people that have been on their story. It rises faith. It provokes a lot of things. It shows us all, look, there's a giant within us. There is gifts deep within us. And until we step out and move to that next level, what will happen is we'll be frustrating the potential, not just in us, but the potential in others as well, Aundrea. So I so hear that, and I thank you so much as well for investing your precious time into being here, because I know that you've got loads on, and you are a woman on demand. So from a king to a queen, much love, care, respect and appreciation for that, Aundrea. Thank you. So are you currently working on any kind of like projects at the moment in terms of your music? This Dr. Aundrea Nyle's voice, people. You want to know about? Go on, say what you're going to say.
So I'm working on a few things, actually. I'm working on a couple of projects. I'm working on actually a new frequency project, which aligns with just understanding the power of music and how frequency, even coming from the place of being a worship leader and knowing how to move with the spirit and feel the energy in the room and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm working on a project that actually works with your energy centers.
Okay.
So, kind of, but music that you can relax to, and music that you can literally just release tension. There's like a different track for each energy center, and they all feel very different. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on my own music and getting back into songwriting.
Yes.
And I'm actually exploring gaming music, because what many people don't know about me is I'm a bit of a gamer. And I actually, I know I am. I have a geek streak and I'm very proud of it. And I'm a bit of a gamer. So I had a real passion and love for gaming platforms and the music. I always kind of had a thing about the music. So I've actually started creating music for gaming platforms. So yeah, I'm doing
awesome. So, success strategies.
Oh, yes.
I would like to dive into any kind of things that you find helpful in terms of what you do as far as success is concerned and what success looks like to you, Aundrea.
Okay. Do you have any specific things, or are you kind of just...
Anything that resonates with you, anything that you find is helpful in terms of what you do and what helps you get results towards good success?
Okay. Well, I think firstly, let's talk about success. Let's talk about the concept of success. Success means so many different things to so many different people. So for me to sit here and say, well, you can get success like this, or you can do this, or that would be how I did it for what I wanted to experience. And success for somebody could be being a good mom to their children. Success for somebody could be getting out of bed. Success for someone might be making £1 billion. Success, it looks so different for so many people. So I think before we even delve in how to be successful, you have to know what success looks like for you. That's a starting point. What does success look like for you? What would make you feel successful? And I feel like with my journey with myself, I had to really take a look at myself and say, I want to be successful. I kept saying it, I want to be successful. And then I was looking at my life and thinking, well, I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that, and I don't feel successful. So what is success to me? And I feel very successful now, more than I ever have done in my life. And that's because I've actually started to take more notice of me. I've actually started to understand what my soul needs, what Aundrea needs, what's good for me, what lights me up, what gets me out of bed in the morning, what makes me want to, jump on a podcast, what makes me want to, do whatever, what lights me up. And for me, just knowing that you're already successful. Yes. You're already successful from the time you know what you want to do and where you want to be and where you want to go. And more importantly, who you are being and who you're choosing to be. That's success already. So for me, success is you work from that successful space here. So then I feel that, and then I say, okay, now once I've got into that space of feeling successful, God, the universe, has no choice but to bring like-minded experiences that align with my mindset of being successful.
Awesome. As you're speaking, I had a vision of something which I watched on TV, and it was you speaking to some random individuals, and you absolutely changed their life in the moment of like a few seconds, and it was so heartfelt. I remember here's me looking at the screen and just watching this clip thinking, oh my gosh, just like that. Aundrea, these two ladies in the road. It was so random. Do you know what I'm speaking about?
Right? I absolutely do.
The way that you was unapologetically you, walking into that situation, speaking to these ladies, so straightforward, so natural, and what they got out of that was so beautiful. To watch that transformation happen in a moment, like wow! Just I share that with you as you were speaking to me. That popped up in my mind.
If anyone wants to check that, it's on my. I think it's on my TikTok, isn't it? You might be able to find it on my Instagram or my TikTok. I think it's up there. But that was such a beautiful example of me walking in my authenticity, walking in knowing who I am, and just being like not having any preconceived notions of, you know, oh, these are young girls, or, you know, maybe they won't want to talk. Nothing. Just seeing them. Hey, how you doing? They was like, oh my God, you look lovely, and then that was it. We started talking, and I remember God was just speaking to me and saying to her, you know, I feel like you're having an awakening or something. She was like, oh my God. It was like literally just this morning. I woke up and I was like, I'm having an awakening. And I was like, okay. So it was just those beautiful serendipitous moments where you're just in flow and you're just in alignment, and God just leads you to the right people at the right time. And I feel like, you know, I used to think success was going out and getting the people.
Yes.
But success isn't going out and getting the people. It's positioning yourself so that the people can find you.
Yes.
You know, it's positioning yourself in the space to be found. You know, you don't see the flower trying to go and get the bee. No, the flower opens up, lets her nectar out, sends out her beautiful fragrance, and whatever bee is meant to come to that flower will come. And you may get some flies too, and that's all right. Sometimes that happens too, but it's like understanding that you don't have to chase anything. You don't have to chase success. You don't have to chase money. You don't have to chase fame. You don't have to chase any of these things. You have to become them. You have to become them in order to experience them. Become successful, become wealthy in your mind, become abundant, become joyful. And then these things will come to you. You know, we spend so much time looking at our current circumstances and dictating our lives by our current circumstances when we don't really understand that what you're experiencing in this present moment is the manifestation of thoughts in your past. You said, oh, Aundrea, I would love to do okay, cool. So now we're here. But this was spoken about a couple of days ago or a few days ago or whenever it was spoken about. And now we're here living that moment. But that moment was created back then.
Yes.
So understanding that we have to live in that mindset of where you want to be, and then you allow it to come to you. You allow it. Like God is always saying yes. He never says no. He always says yes. People say, oh, God says no. No, he doesn't say no. He might say not yet, or it might be there's a better way, or this is not the way to get to what you're actually trying to get to. But even when it's a no, it's not a no. It's just a redirection. And it's learning to be grateful in those moments, learning to be joyful in those moments, learning to be, I don't know, excited about the possibilities of what could be and not focusing on what hasn't and feeling unsuccessful. So success for me is a mindset. Success for me is just choosing me.
Awesome. You know, with choosing you, doing what you do, the way that you do you, when it comes to like overcoming burnout and just being core, staying centered, what kind of things do you practice in order to stay passionate about what you do?
Burnout this is quite close to my heart, because I feel like I'm in that space. I actually feel like I've gone through a burnout. I feel like I've experienced burnout very, very recently, and I'm now on the, the coming out of it and healing. And the thing is with burnout is, what God showed me is that we are so busy pouring that we don't take the time to be poured into, and we're feeding people from our cup. And that's not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be from your overflow. From the overflow, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So it should be out of the abundance. And I was given out of my love, but it was from a place of lack, because I wasn't receiving the same way I was given. I was just giving and giving, but because I would get little bits back, I'd get little bits of gratitude, or I'd get little bits of this, and I could survive on the fumes until I just couldn't survive on the fumes anymore. And I got to that space of burnout. And for me, it was, I had to go into a time of isolation. I always say that before elevation comes separation. And I usually find that my elevation usually happens after a burnout period. It usually comes after you've given and done all that you can do, and God's like, you're finished and you're burnt out. It's like, now it's my time. Now you're going to listen to me. Now you're going to take heed to what I'm saying. And now you're going to slow it down, and you're going to start to focus on what's important to you. You're going to focus on what's the plan. You're going to focus on what's the vision and how do we get there. And I quit my job. I took a time out from coaching. I took a time out from just doing too much, and I just rested. I mean, wow. I took a leap of faith. I quit my job with and I'm not saying people do this.
Yes.
This is not for the faint-hearted. I will tell you, it is not for the faint-hearted to just quit your job and say, right, you know what? I'm done. Like,
I can relate totally, Aundrea. I went through a phase recently where, the God of this universe and all things, so to speak, sabotaged me in a situation. And there were so many patterns, these synchronicities and serendipities taking place before this final straw that broke the camel's back. And here I am, driving one day down this motorway, and I had this thought. I said to myself, if such and such happened right now, I don't know what I'd do. And what happened? That very thing happened, and that was it. It was like, so Kev, now you know, what are you going to do? Are you going to do the very thing that you've been running away from all this time, knowing that deep calls to deep, knowing what I've showed you, Kevin, knowing that you are more than enough, Kevin, knowing that you've been making up these excuses, living on that little level, which I am extremely grateful for. However, when it comes to stepping in the unknown and really walking by faith and not by sight, and really going through this, taking that path less trodden, when it really comes to the do's, here we are. So now, Kevin, no more excuses, and you have to go through this, because you know what's back there, don't you, Kevin?
And there's no way around it.
You can't get around it.
There's no way around doing the work.
Yeah.
It's like you get to burnout. Burnout is because you have a heart to give, but you've got to learn to have boundaries. You've got to have boundaries. How to avoid burnout, or how to stop burnout, is having boundaries and having balance, and being emotionally aware, having emotional intelligence, feeding yourself the right food, doing exercise, fasting or, praying, meditating, whatever you need to do to fill your soul, that's what you need to do. For me, it was like, I need to travel. Whenever I reach that point, Aundrea's on a plane, I'm off. But in this season, there was no money. We wasn't going on a plane. We wasn't going anywhere. And I'm sitting here saying, I need a holiday, universe. Why is it not manifesting? And it's like, because you need to understand that just flying off is not, because when you can't fly, then what are you going to do? We've allowed you to fly because that's what you could do then. But now you've upgraded, you need to learn to regulate. So, being in that place of burnout, I thought flying out, I need to go and be in the sun, get some vitamin D and sort myself out. And I'd had a blood test. And it was so funny because that week I got a message from my doctor saying, Aundrea, you've got like seriously low vitamin D levels. I was like, this must be part of why I'm feeling so low. I'm feeling so tired. I just want to go to somewhere and be in the sun. That's all I wanted to do. I just want to be in the sun. I just want to go and just lie in the sun.
Yes.
And then my doctor prescribed me some vitamin D tablets, some really high dose ones, and I started taking them, and I started to feel better. So sometimes it's not just a spiritual thing, it's like physical things that are going on in our body that cause us. So burnout is not just emotional, it affects us physically. It can be a sign that, maybe you're lacking some vitamins, or you're lacking some nutrients in your body. And you've got to look at all of these things. You can't just be like, oh, I'm just tired. No, why are you tired? Why is your body tired? So started taking vitamin D, started taking magnesium and some other things as well. And I feel better.
Yes.
I feel stronger.
Yes.
And just doing that, all I would do was just sleep and rest, take vitamins and, do what I need to do, and allowed myself to heal. I gave myself care. I gave myself love. I gave myself gentleness. I gave myself kindness. I gave myself understanding. I gave myself patience. And as I was giving these things to myself, I was feeding my soul, and I was also feeding my body, and I was feeding my mind. I was, listening to motivational things. I have a few people, like I love Joe Dispenza because he just brings science and spirituality together, like where it's supposed to be, and help you to understand about your neural pathways and quantum entanglement, and how your thoughts shape your reality, and how your thoughts create toxins, or it creates endorphins, or it releases chemicals into your body, and understanding about your neural pathways and how traumatic neural pathways could have been created at this point, and why do I think like this? And so it was a lot of self-searching. I used that time to self-search and understand that from this point on, I'm serving people from my overflow. I'm going to serve from a place of abundance. I'm serving from a place of full of joy, full of love, full of peace, full of compassion, full of empathy, full of gratitude, just from the place of being full, and not serving from a place of feeling empty, where I felt like I needed that validation back for what I was giving. I was needing that. It was a lot of, as much as my intentions were pure, my methods were flawed. So because of my programming, and because of trauma, and because of society, my intentions were pure, but my process or my actions were flawed. And I had to really understand what was happening and say, I've got to allow myself this time to heal. And healing can look like going and having therapy. I put myself through my own coaching program, and it changed my life. I saw people getting results from this 7 weeks that I did with my friend, and I wanted to try it, and I tried it, and it changed my life, and and so burnout is real, and it definitely is something that I find a lot of people in, the care, healing, help profession or calling, we experience it. And it's just about taking that time to allow yourself to be poured in as a giver as well, because as a giver, we've got to learn to receive. And that's a problem for a lot of us. It's been a problem for me, receiving compliments. Like you say, I'm humble, but the reality of that is it, it's a humility that's come from a place of trauma. It's a humility that's come from a place of people saying to you, you think you're all that. You act like you're this. Oh, because you sing, you think you're this. And I didn't want people to see me like that. And I wanted to be loved and I wanted to be liked. So I put on my defense mechanism and I became humble, how they wanted me to be. So when I hear a compliment, my first knee-jerk reaction is to recoil. Okay. When I hear someone say, oh, you're so beautiful, oh, like just saying it, it's like, what? Okay. But I know that that's a neural pathway.
Yes.
And it's something that, you know, it takes a while, especially if it's, you know, something that's been ingrained, you know, like going through childhood trauma and being called, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly, you're ugly. And it's like, okay, I believe it. I started believing it. I really started to believe that I was ugly. And I grew up into my 40s believing that I was ugly. And if I say to you, I don't have moments of it, I absolutely do have moments of it. But the difference is I know that my inner light shines. And I know that that light is beautiful. I know that that heart that God has given me is beautiful. And I see that heart in others, and I find the beauty in even in the scars, even in the trauma. I find beauty. I find the beauty in the scars. So, yeah.
Awesome. Interesting. Yeah. I'll say around 50% of the people that I've coached, there's been this common story of something that has been said to them in the past around the childhood phase that has grown arms and legs in the thoughts and has become a thing, a story, which has created limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of our limiting beliefs come from childhood trauma. You know, a lot of our, you know, because that's when we're the most receptive.
Yes.
You know, in the ages of 1 to 7, we are so receptive, and anything that happens in that period will literally start shaping your character and your personality for the rest of your life. And then by the time you reach the age 35, your character and personality is pretty much set. And it really takes a lot of work to undo all those years of programming and all those years of, you know, trauma and all those years and get into a new place. Even with your finances, you'll see it. How your mum handled and your dad, that's probably how you do. I came from a home where there was scarcity. So money was always tight. Money was always scarce. So I grew up with that idea that money is scarce. And so what showed up for me? The scarcity of money.
Scarcity, for sure.
So it has a lot to do with, you know, programming.
Exploring spiritual practices. Aundrea, what type of spiritual practices do you participate in? Ooh, if you do participate in any.
That's a really interesting conversation, and that's a really interesting. Oh, wow. Okay. So it's funny because I'm in a space of really owning my spirituality and really just owning what I believe. And, you know, not one thing I don't do is I don't force my beliefs on anybody else, because what's for me is not for you.
Yes.
And there are certain things in the spiritual community that I don't do, you know, and that might be because of my Christianity programming or childhood programming or cultural programming. There are certain things I don't do, but I do engage in meditation. I engage in frequency healing. You know, I love the sound bowls and the tuning forks. I'm here for all of it. I love crystals. I'm not gonna lie, I do. I love them, but I've loved them from I was a child. I had a thing about sparkly stones,
Mm.
and I didn't know that they actually were a part of spirituality. I just knew I liked them, so I used to collect them and find the books about them, and then I started realizing, oh, they have a meaning, or this is this, and I was like, okay. But then obviously being a Christian, it was kind of frowned upon and all of that kind of stuff. But then
I sorry, I do apologize after you.
yeah, no, it kind of just, it was frowned upon, and I kind of got to the space where I was like, but I like them, so I do it because I enjoy them.
Mm.
Um, yeah, give me a bit of white sage and Palo Santo as well. I'm here for it. You know, they gave Jesus gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Like, if it was good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. I burn a bit of
You
frankincense.
see, this is the thing, right? Because I went through some programming in the sector of Christianity, and like you say, a lot of crystals and things were very much frowned upon. Right?
Mm.
And I didn't do research for myself to look at why are these things frowned upon.
Mm.
And plenty of different people in different sectors and different groups have been dictated information to the point where it's like, are you thinking for yourself?
Mm.
And the more I do research, is the more I realize, Kevin, there is just you that occupies this body. You was born here. You wasn't given any instruction in how you are supposed to navigate. You have to figure this thing out.
Mm.
And there is a ton of information out there that's been passed down from generations to generations.
Yeah.
Some of the information have been building blocks. They have been the way for some people to look at the world from the inside looking out. Because we look with our mind, we look with our eyes, but we see with our mind, right? And a lot of the things that we practice are merely just other people's ideas. And when I came to this point of realization, it's like Kevin told the truth. So looking at crystals as an example, they're here for a purpose and they were created, right? So they're here serving a really good purpose. And I started to study these crystals. And then the more I studied the crystals, it's like, wow, all of these different crystals vibrate on different frequencies and emit different things, right? When you break it down to the atom. So I'm like, this is really brilliant. The more I study these crystals, I see that they have a place, just like how the air has a place, just like how oxygen has a place, just like how the trees have its place, just like how mud has its place. All of these things have their place. Now, where purpose isn't known, abuse is inevitable. You can have all of these things. The things within themselves are not a threat. They're not a harm. But it's how these things are used. It's that part of it. So if we do not learn how to use everything that's around us, that's God-given, in such a beautiful, wonderful way, if we don't learn how to use these things for our greater good, for the purpose of expanding the consciousness of the collective within humanity, so we can become better people, expanding our community, aspiring to higher heights and deeper depths, and growing together as one lovely, beautiful people, then we're missing it if we're not using all of these things to explore and become greater people. So I'm so happy that you touched on that, Audrea, and I'm so glad that I'm set free from those controlling powers.
It's there are so many beautiful things that I feel like I didn't experience because of my religion.
Yes.
And I think when I gave up religion and I adopted relationship,
yes,
it just shifted everything. I now have a relationship with God and the Holy Spirit and Jesus and the universe, and and I have found joy and peace in that. Even when you look in the Bible and people, like, you've got all the astrologers, they had astrologers and numerologists in the Bible, in the king's house. And, these were normal, common, everyday, this is what they had. But they had the top numerologists, and they have the top, what do you call them? Astrologists.
Yes.
And seers.
Yes.
They had all these people with these spiritual gifts. These gifts didn't just start now. They've been for generations. And, when we tap into these things, people are like, oh, you shouldn't do that and whatever. Well, why is it there if we shouldn't use it? Like, why have we got crystals if we shouldn't use them? And why have we got energetic healers if we shouldn't use them? And why have we got people who understand frequency if we shouldn't use it? Like, why?
Yes.
Why would God give it to us if we shouldn't use it? It's like use it, abuse it, whatever you want to do with it. It's all perspective.
Yes.
It's all perspective at the end of the day. It's like, well, I might say, oh, if you open your bottle this way, it's not good. And then you say, well, if you open it this way, in our culture, it means this. Yin yang, ping pong, whatever. It's all experience. And the beautiful thing that I've come to realize is that we are extensions of the higher power. We are extensions of God having an experience in it, having a human experience. We are spiritual, eternal beings having a human experience so that God can experience himself through us, having an experience, finding himself so that he can see himself. Because it's how can you, if you're all knowing and you're the God, you can only experience yourself by contrast of what you're not. And I understand that contrast is necessary. So if you like blue and I like red, and if you like peanut brittle and I like ginger beer, and, contrast, if we're all the same, this world would be boring. Absolutely. And how can I be a good person if there's no bad people?
So true.
How can I be peaceful if there's no war? How can I be a savior if there's no one to save? How can I be a healer if there's no one that's sick? So in order for me even to come here and be a healer or be a guide, if I'm coming to be a guide, somebody needs to be lost.
Yes.
So understand the how everything works together.
Yes.
Everything works together. It's not about, oh, don't do this, don't do that, don't do this. I have no regrets about my Christian
Likewise.
journey.
Likewise.
My foundation. It's how I found where I'm at. It was a starting point for understanding the spirit realm and feeling the move of the spirit and being able to really engage and just feel that and learn how to tap into that other realm and understand. And that was the beginning for me. It was just the beginning, but there was so much more. And I'm inquisitive, and I ask questions, and I'm a bit rebellious. I want to know more. If you tell me I can't do something, tell me why.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
What's your reason? What's your meaning behind it? True.
I was told I can do all things. And when I would come like that, they'd be like, oh, but the Bible says I can do all things through Christ.
It strengthens you. Absolutely.
A little. It said all things.
Yeah.
So what do you want to tell me?
It's true. If you want to come from that perspective, also, it's very true. But I've realised right there as well, Aundrea, that if a person is saying something, a lot of the times it's based upon a truth that they believe. It's based upon experiences that they have. It's based upon what they class as right, wrong, good, bad, or indifferent. And a lot of the times, it's only based upon people's experiences that they will say, look.
It's just all opinions.
Opinions,
it's like, everybody has a nose on their face. Everybody, and it's just like opinions. And sometimes, your opinion's different to mine. You might have a small nose, you might have a big nose, you might have a long nose, you might have this. Everybody's got a different opinion about things. They have a different experience, which then creates an idea, and then they form an opinion.
Yes.
And then that's it. So my opinion and your opinion, even if it's the same, it's not the same.
Yes, very true. Based upon how we perceive things and how we see things.
Because you're going to come from wherever you've gone in life, I'm coming from wherever I've gone. And yes, we're looking at the same thing and we might, agree it's the same. But it's not going to be the same for you as it is for me. I'm a woman. I see things different. You're a man. You see things different.
Yes.
You know, you could have grown up as a millionaire and I grew up in the slums. I came from rags to riches. So everybody's experience is going to be different, but everybody's opinions. And the way I see it, it's all just opinions. It's all just information. It's what you do with that information. It's how that information affects you. Or, you know, if someone says to me, "Oh, Aundrea, you're beautiful." If I hear it just as information, I'll just be like, "Oh, thank you." And I don't take it in. But if I hear it and I'm in that mode and I'm not really focusing on what I'm thinking, instantly my default action goes, "Thanks. Don't look at me. Don't look at me."
Right. As much as we may not see eye to eye on the same subject matter, I respect, appreciate, love you, and care for you all the same. I think that part there is so important, understanding and appreciating the fact that we all do have different opinions and see things from a different perspective. If not, then there isn't room for growth. But there has to be that glue that keeps us together beyond all of this stuff, which is that love, that unconditional love, which keeps us all together.
Absolutely.
Once we are recognizing that and operating from that space, it's a beautiful thing. We can celebrate our differences.
Absolutely.
You know?
And acceptance. You know,
acceptance, yes.
We come into a place of acceptance where you just accept that, okay, you don't see things the way that I see it. I don't have to be upset about it. I don't have to be angry about it. I don't have to force you to see what I see, because that's impossible.
Yeah.
So coming to that place of acceptance, I think it really releases you from, you know, that, I guess, judgment. You lose judgment when you just accept. You know, okay, you don't agree. That doesn't make you any less. It doesn't make me any more. It just makes you. And I accept that that's what it is. So it's coming to a place of acceptance with yourself first, though. You've got to accept yourself before you can accept others, because if you don't really accept yourself and someone comes saying something and you're like, no, you feel like you have to defend it, that's because you haven't fully accepted who you are. You know, someone says, "Oh my gosh, Aundrea, you believe in astrology, or you believe in numerology, and you love Jesus. How does that work?" It works for me.
Yes.
You ain't got to worry about how it works. It works for me. If it doesn't work for you, don't put your foot in my shoes. Simple.
It's so true. You know, Aundrea, moving to money and happiness, yeah, they both work for me. I love both of them, right?
Me too.
Do you think you can buy happiness?
Oh, do you think you can buy
with money?
With
money. Whether it be fiat, whatever type of monetary exchange you were using. Do you think happiness can be bought?
I would say this. I don't think you can buy lasting happiness with money. I think you can buy fleeting moments of happiness and joy, but it's not sustainable. You'd have to keep on buying things, because as soon as you've bought something, the law of depreciation kicks in.
Yes.
Anything that's tangible, you can't really buy a lasting effect of the intangible with the tangible. So to say, could you buy happiness? You could buy maybe a smile. Look, if someone bought me a Bentley convertible, I'll be happy. I'm not going to lie to you. But after a while, that happiness is going to die down and I'm going to be bored of the car, or I might love it forever. But after a while, that happiness is going to fade. The car might get a scratch or get old. The car's going to get old. And, you know, so you cannot buy lasting happiness, but I definitely think money can add to happiness. I don't believe money can buy happiness lasting. I feel like happiness has to come from within. As I said, you've got to be in that space for that happiness to come and last. So I believe it can add momentarily, but no, I don't. I would probably have to say no. I don't know. I guess that's the only way. I can't say no. I can't say yes, I guess. But I don't. Would you say a no? Would you say that's a no?
You know, that is brilliant. I think it just adds on top of. I so believe that if you don't have happiness from deep within, what will happen is you will go through these ups and downs, receiving all of these external things to the point where you will become so unhealthy in your thoughts and so unbalanced in your thoughts as well. You won't be stable until you start to like love you and love who you are with or without the things. Yeah. When the things come, it's like, oh yes. When the things go, it's like, yes, you know, oh yes, that was lovely and whatnot. However, I'm so grounded in who I am, kind of thing. So I'm so glad that I am grounded in a certain way, and I'm so glad that I had that experience with these things. These things were like a little cherry on top. Yeah. So there is that. And there's also
dopamine hit, though, isn't it? It's that, people mistake happiness with dopamine hits.
Yes.
They get a hit of dopamine, and because happiness is a high level of dopamine, when you feel happy, it's a consistent flow of dopamine. And I guess the body needs more stimuli to create that, if it's not consistent. So you get that joy of getting that thing, and this is making me happy, but that's not real happiness. That's a dopamine hit. So when I'm saying it's fleeting and it's moment, it's all dopamine. And then you come back to, when your dopamine high is over, you've got to go and buy another Bentley, or you've got to go and buy a car this time, or you've got to go and buy a plane or a boat or a pension, or and you're going to keep needing that dopamine hit if that's where you find your happiness.
Yes.
But if happiness is coming from within you, all that's going to do is just add to it.
Yes.
It just adds. And if it comes, it adds. And if it goes, it still adds. And if it comes, it adds. And if it goes, it still adds. And it's, living that, money can't buy that. But, it's kind of hard to be happy when you're broke.
Well, this is another thing as well. This is another thing. Like, it's an amplifier. I've seen money to be an amplifier. It's an amplifier for you are. If a person has struggles with alcohol, and they buy a scratch card and win £100,000, they're more than likely going to drink themselves to the ground.
Drink the whole thing.
Right?
Yeah.
So there is also that as well. It's just lovely to be in a position where you have a plan, which is to, like with me, for example, to expand, dominate the 7 pillars of influence in society, so to speak, add more value into the marketplace, into the hearts and the lives of many people to become a higher version of themselves, raise the consciousness of the collective. The more support I have with that is the more expansion that's going to take place. So the more money that comes into my realm is the more that's going to happen. It's going to be a help meet. It's going to be something that's going to be used as a tool to help me, you, and everybody else become better people. So I'm glad that I'm at this space where I have the mindset to understand the benefits of that. Because there was a time, Audrea, where I was financially independent. And I remember I went out, I bought a Jaguar, I bought this Lotus, a sports car. I used to drive around in it thinking, this is so boring because I've got nobody to enjoy this with. I want to go on holidays, I want to do things. And all of my friends were like at work and stuff. And it got to the stage where I was tempted to pay for people's tickets to do things with me, but it just never felt right at all. It was like, Kevin, this isn't the realness. This isn't it. But I'm glad that I went through that experience, and I had asked for this financial independence at the time, but my mind wasn't ready in order to use it, you know. So it's quite interesting how things can happen. A lot of the times, what we want, we already have it, but we don't realize. We think that money is going to be the solution.
I mean, the Bible does say money answers all things.
All things.
You know, and it does. It answers every
all
call.
Things.
Every call that can be made, money. Like if you even look around you, every single thing around you that you're sitting on was bought with money.
It's so true.
But every single thing also around you is going to be in the bin one day.
Yeah.
Including your body.
Yeah. And you're going to need money for that funeral, right? So this is why I love money. I love money in its rightful place. And it's not my God. I'm not a God. I'm not a servant to Mammon. Yeah. All praise be to the Most High, the Creator of all things and whatnot. I know as a steward, I will use the money. I am using the money to do wonderful things, and that makes me feel so good, Aundrea. It makes me feel so good. I'm so grateful. So, food, diet, lifestyle, Dr. Aundrea Nyle, your relationship with certain foods. Tell me a bit more about that.
Those of you who don't know, I used to be like 22 stone. And, you know, I realized that my health was really, really bad. You know, I had asthma, I had high blood pressure, I had sleep apnea and arthritis in my knees. And, you know, just trying to live was just, you know, I was happy with myself, but my health wasn't good. And I made a decision to, you know, sort my life out, sort my health out, and, you know, just eating, you know, more healthy, you know, portions and understanding that my food is my medicine. And that's become more, the more I've got into being spiritual, it's like I go down the meat aisle in whatever supermarket and I can feel the anxiety. I can feel the anxiety in the meat. I can feel the anxiety in the lamb and in the chicken and in the, you know, I can feel it. But then I go in the fruit and veg aisle and I can feel everything's alive. I can feel the liveliness of it. I can feel that the vegetables are alive. I can feel that and then so when I think about what would my body rather have, would I rather eat a living food that's going to bring life? Or am I going to eat dead food that's going to add death and anxiety? So I'm not saying I'm a vegetarian, but I do err more on the side of plant-based meals and probably fish. So more, you know, that sort of thing. And I don't eat as much meat as I used to. I love a burger and, you know, whatever.
Me too.
Like the next, my piece of fried chicken and my curry mutton. Don't play with me. I will eat those things. But on a daily basis, I will eat more fruit because it's alive. I will eat salads. I will eat vegetables. I will eat, you know, more living food. And I just think the more we become aware that our food is our medicine and our medicine is our food, you know, when we realize that, you know, I would rather eat my medicine and then have to take medication. I would rather have my food medicate me and have a lifestyle of, I never do diets anymore. I don't do diets. That word doesn't exist except for this is my diet plan. Like this is my diet. My daily diet is, that's how it'll be. I wouldn't have a diet plan anymore. I don't do diets. I don't believe in diets. I believe in setting my mind, you know, where I want to be. Because I did put on a bit of weight even after losing all that weight. And I got to a point where I was like, I'm not comfortable. I need to lose a bit of weight. And I had just kind of got into this space of really manifesting and putting my mind in a space. I said, all right, cool. So I went to the scales. I stood on the scales. I saw it said, and I said, yeah, I don't want it to say that. And it was like, well, what do you want it to say? And I said, well, I want it to say this. And it was like, we'll see it saying that. I said, okay, done. And that was it. I set it and I moved on about it. I didn't count calories. I didn't go to the gym. I didn't do any of it. I just ate and I was joyful. And whenever I ate my food, I ate it with joy. Whenever I made my food, I made it with love. Whenever I cooked with love. I cook with joy. And the weight and I've been able to maintain it. And it's not been a struggle. It's not been, and then people are like, so how did you do that? And I was like, I use my mind. And I was like, what?
Awesome.
Like,
Dr. Aundrea. Yes, Dr. Aundrea Nyle. It's been a privilege and an honor to have you on the Purpose and Prosperity podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for just, for everything. If there's one thing you could leave with the audience right now, what would it be?
Know who you are. Go on a journey of self-discovery. It's the best journey that you can ever go on. Mm-hmm. Loving yourself. Go on a self-love journey. Find your tribe as well, because when you start, what do they say? When the student's ready, the teacher will show up. Mm-hmm. Just start making choices that align with your purpose and align with who you're being. And find your joy. Find the things that light you up every day. Do what lights you up. Do what makes you feel that smile and that zest for life. Because I think when you get in alignment with your purpose, you will feel good. So I would say follow the path that feels good to your soul. Follow the path that feels good to your soul. And come find me on the socials. And I have a really exciting project that I haven't revealed yet, and it will be revealed, but it's coming really soon. And it's going to give people the chance to interact with me in person, in real time. And I'm really excited about it.
Thank you kindly, Dr. Aundrea Nyle. So you can find out more from Dr. Aundrea Nyle by visiting her on the socials, and stay connected. If you've got a story, if you're doing some great things, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me. All the details will be left inside of the description section of the Purpose and Prosperity podcast, and we will take it from there. That's it from me, Kevin Clarke. Believe in you. Bye for now.
It's an Audrea Nyle that is suspecting.
Hashtag come back.
Been knocked down for a moment, but I'm coming back up. Been shut down for a minute, but I'm getting back up. Been locked down for a moment, but it's coming unstuck, 'cause I'm getting back up. Hey, I'm gonna come back. Hey, you cannot lock me up. Hey, oh no, I will not stop, 'cause I'm coming back up. Yeah, I'm coming back up. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, 'cause I'm coming back up. Yeah, I'm coming back up. Put on my crown, it's been down for a moment. Gonna pick it back up, gonna finish what I started. You know I'm coming with a vibe, and I'm coming with a motive. Can't hold me down, I'm coming back stronger. Wanna come back, wanna come back stronger. Wanna come back, yeah, wanna come back stronger.
rebuild, it's a resurrection. It's an Audrea Nyle and a disrespecting. Everybody goes hard, but we go harder. And we know about pain, cause we lost fathers. Ain't no stopping us now. And shout to Uncle Ronnie, we be doing you proud. As your soul rises up, we be holding it down. You raised the queen, now she's wearing the crown. Yeah, she's wearing her crown.
Wanna come back, wanna come back straight.